Just not getting it.
So I've got the extra money sitting
I
in my
can
pocket.
think of better things to spend $1,000 on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody has their different things. Everybody knows all the technology. I was in line at the Apple store because it was tax-free weekend, and I was going to save 7% on
Right.
what I consider amazingly well-built products.
Right.
And I really value technology and what it does in my life. And when it's like, so let me finish. I also think the other big thing, and I think it's a giant misnomer, is we think the middle class is shrinking. It's not. This is from the Pew Research Center, which is reasonably conservative. 51% of adults live in middle-income households. 29% are in lower-income households. 20% are in the upper-income households.
Right.
That constitutes 71% of people
Well,
who are living pretty damn well.
But the upper class has also
so-
grown in the last 10 years too. It has actually gotten larger over the last
agree.
10 years than it has previously before. And again, like I said, you've got the money to go out and be able to buy the latest, newest gadget, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I do too. But again, there's so many people that I listen to that I know don't make as much money as me, and yet go out and spend that kind of money.
I know
I
people that
understand.
make half the amount of money I make, and I don't make a ton of money.
Right.
They always have the newest TV,
Right.
the newest phone,
Right.
getting new cars, and I'm like, it's just ridiculous to me that you would put yourself, because they're going to be in debt their entire life.
Well, and again, what I want to say to that is it's one of those things where I think the middle class, and the reason why people think the middle class is shrinking, is it's one of those things where the way we used to spend our money versus the way we spend our money now, or how you look at it. So over the last 10 years, we've lost 60% of the value of the dollar due to inflation. So that's one of the things where you lose a bit of that value of that dollar. But also, it's, I remember when I was a kid, you paid 50 cents for a cup of coffee versus now you go out and pay $5, Radio used to be free, but now we pay $10 to belong to a radio station,
Well, to be fair too, though, CDs were $15 a pop because of price collusion amongst all the major record labels. And now I pay $10 a month for Spotify, and I can listen to anything I want. So some things have gone down. Technology's made
But
a
the
lot of things
difference
better.
is one you own, one you don't.
Well,
I mean, at some point,
but it's
you're going to lose that if you decide to quit paying for Spotify.
And I understand the substitution effect where one money changes to the other side, but it's what I see is more of what, like, you buy one CD and you listen to it, and that was $15 or whatever, and you didn't go out and buy a CD every single day.
I did.
See,
Most
of my friends did.
I was every week anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, how many of those people who are buying a $5 cup of coffee are just buying one a week, or So it's when you add those dollars up. I sat down and did it. It was like something like somebody's paying like $500 a year for a cup of coffee, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, that's why you're a little bit poor, is because what used to be, $50 is now costing you $500.
Yeah.
And again, you're paying for water now where water used to be free.
I mean, it
when you
still
go out and
is
buy a
free.
bottle.
People
Well,
just
it
don't
is,
like
but just
to-
people like to buy
Yeah.
a bottle of
No,
water.
I'm paying for the convenience of being able to carry
Carry a
water
bottle of
around
water,
with me
right.
everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
that. Even more than that, here's where I think you get into trouble is they base these numbers on who's in the middle class, upper class, everything based on income. What they don't do it is your net worth. And I have a feeling that if you did it on net worth, you'd probably be alarmed that people you thought were rich were not.
Not rich. Oh no,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of those people are living nickel and dime.
Probably not.
Yeah, they're living paycheck to
But
paycheck just
I
as
don't
well.
think that's one. I don't think that's middle class, upper class. I think that's just across the board. People live outside their means a lot.
Well, it goes back to
I
consumerism.
want to speak
Yeah.
to my foreman that might be listening to the podcast, probably none of them. I give you $50 a month to buy a phone that works and answers, and you can text me and use it. That's $600 a year. That's a very nice phone. Learn how to use it. Come on, man.
Brian,
Gotta
you
go
got
get
something
Nextel back.
to add to this conversation?
That's true, man. Nextel was definitely made for.
I feel like
Well,
I feel like things have changed since I guess as long as I've been around, which isn't as long as a lot of people, but it's sort of like I feel like the keeping up with the Joneses sort of thing. The kids down the block, I have 4 nieces and nephews, 2 nieces, 2 nephews, and as they're getting older, one of them's 8, and I think she just got her first cell phone, and kind of blows my mind, but it's one of those where I asked my brother about it, like, hey, she's got a cell phone. It's all the other kids have cell phones, but it's not about all the other kids have cell phones. It's that, well, we need to know where she is. Well, when I was that age, did my parents need to know where I was? I mean, I don't know, but maybe that's changed. But then also is that she would be left out. Now, everyone else has a cell phone that's in whatever grade 8-year-olds are in, and
Fourth grade.
if she's the only one that doesn't have a cell phone, then suddenly you're an outcast, and you
Well-
can't be involved in, because now communication is all cell phones, right?
Yeah.
I was texting, now you can't be part of the group that communicates. Oh yeah, we're in a group text, sorry you didn't get the invite to go do this thing. And it just kind of, and I mean, that's just one example, but that's several $100s, right? And then you want the same cell phone that everyone else has, which is most likely Apple, which isn't going to be cheap. But then, you see all your friends go and they start getting coffee. Like Starbucks is a big thing. Starbucks raises their prices. It becomes a trend thing. And now I got to go get it every single day if I want to go hang out with these guys. Am I going to go to the coffee shop and not buy what everyone else is going to buy? I mean, as an adult, I don't have a problem.
Well,
making
I
that
don't think
decision.
wanting to fit in is any different now than it was
Oh,
when
no.
I was
But
a
it's
kid.
more- isn't it
But
more
it's more
expensive?
Well, I think it's more
That's-
expensive.
Now,
Not
I
at
can
all.
say-
Absolutely not at all. Not in comparative dollars. I wouldn't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I remember when Atari first came out and it was $300. This is like 1979.
That's true.
And
I
it
can
was
remember
$100
that. I
and
remember the
$250.
first time Nike had their
Yeah.
white high tops.
But
Everybody
Jordans,
had to have
my Air
them.
But
Jordans.
here's what I'll say to that Atari though. Not everybody you knew had Atari.
They all wanted it.
But everybody
They all tried
wanted
to get
it, but not everybody got it.
But now everyone has-
everybody has.
But parents
everybody
now-
has now like a PS3 and a Nintendo, and it's not like you have one game system. It's not like you walk into a guy's house and he's got all three of them because there's certain games that don't go on one and another, and all of a sudden you're sitting there thinking to yourself, man, you're 30 some odd years old. What 30 some odd year old guy plays video games? And of course nowadays it's
Nowadays,
Well,
a
yeah.
lot of them do. Yeah.
But parents nowadays feel like the pressure of my kid has to fit in with everybody else. Whereas when I was growing up, my parents were like, I can't afford it, you're not going to get it, I'm sorry.
You
know?
know what? I think that's what's changed. My mom, she was just in town, and we were just joking about the fact that all growing up, I wanted Jordans.
Yeah.
She couldn't afford Jordans. She didn't buy me Jordans. She made no apologies to the fact that she couldn't afford, nor was going to buy me shoes that she couldn't afford. But now, and full disclaimer, they were all on clearance pricing.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 different pair of Jordans now, but they were all like $50.
Right.
So but the fact that now the parents aren't as willing to, I guess, look, as kids, we all ran in the room, slammed the door, and I hate you, because you can't, because you can't do what all the other kids are doing. But I think these parents are, I remember Bernie Mac, one of his comedy routines.
Great guy.
In one of his comedy routines, and he was just saying, we the punk ass parents. It ain't the kids aren't worse. We punk ass parents.
Yeah.
We don't want to tell them no.
Yeah.
But I think that's partially, before I move to the next subject, I think it's partially because we don't really want to tell ourselves no anymore either. And that is what is creating what feels. Because you remember last podcast we talked about how things feel.
Right.
And I think it's creating this thing where it feels like the middle class is shrinking, or it feels like, because it's not necessarily, but because we don't want to deprive ourselves, we don't want to deprive our kids, we want to keep up with what the Joneses are doing, it feels like we're not doing as well because the Joneses just got a brand new, S-Class, and I'm driving a Honda, and that's what makes me feel a little weird about it.
I gotta stop one thing before you move on.
Yeah.
I had 3 choices for shoes when I was a kid. Converse, PS Flyers, or Kids. K-E-D-S.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Well,
I would have picked the Converse.
So, get over it.
yeah, it kind of one of those things though too.
Yeah.
Was the other day, Bad News Bears was on TV, and it was the old 1970s version.
Walter
Yeah, with Walter Matthau. And the thing is, go back and watch. Not that they didn't, advertise in movies and TVs with clothes and fashion and that kind of stuff, but most of the marketing within movies was Pepsi or Pizza Hut. It was what you were going to drink and what you were going to eat, or a shampoo or this and that, and it wasn't as much on the clothing side and that kind of stuff. Versus you watch that and it's like you saw goofy kids wearing random weird
Just
stuff.
random weird
And then
stuff.
nowadays you watch movies and it's like, kids are a little bit more snazzy, more dressed, more put together, and it's like, okay, this is how you're supposed to look. Where before it was, those were just kids.
Wait a second.
Well,
I had platform
say that.
shoes, red plaid bell bottoms,
Yeah.
a white shirt, and a blue
Yeah.
sweater vest, and I was a bad dude.
Right. But
You don't think there were a billion dudes who wanted to look like James
Don't
Dean
tell me I
because
didn't
chicks
dress.
were completely in love with him.
Right,
and,
but again, it was
fine.
but
Movies
that's
have always- I'll tell you a true story.
that's an older guy. I'm talking about kids. I'm talking about the Bad News Bears, the little kids that were in there. You're talking kids who are 12 and younger.
I'm telling you that
But,
high schoolers,
Yeah,
grade schoolers
right.
all wanted to look like James Dean because he was a badass. And
Right, but that was James Dean. That wasn't the
He's a rock
kids.
star of his day.
Right, but that's
No, the kids clearly.
But Humphrey Bogart wore tuxedos.
wanted
People didn't go out and
wanted
wear
jeans, a
tuxedos.
white shirt, and a
Yeah.
leather jacket. I will tell you a very true story. And this is from this is Clark Gable movie. God, I always forget the name of it. It's the one with Carol Lombard with her. For the first time, like she was an heiress and runs off them and all this. She was in that time. One time he did not wear an undershirt in the movie, like took his shirt off and
Yeah.
wasn't wearing an undershirt. The undershirt industry dropped by 70% because Clark Gable didn't wear an
Wear
undershirt.
Wow.
It's true.
That's
fact.
crazy.
Right.
We've always idolized movie stars. We've always followed them. We've always done everything. It's never been different. It's been kids and adults. It's been.
I'm
it's
not.
everything.
I'm not denying the adult side of that. The people and the adults, the way they dress and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking like the kids in
They
the
market
movies.
to kids
The
now.
way the kids are in the dress in the movies back then, you didn't care. You didn't spend the money on the wardrobe on those kids in those movies. And again, you can sit there and say some kids saw. But again, a kid looks at Lucky Lindy back in the day, and he wanted to have the air fighter hat and the leather jacket, the bomber jacket, and that kind of stuff. So they'll always have that. But it was one of the things where kids aren't. And again, it's like watching the difference between the Bad News Bears and the way those kids were dressed, and Clueless and the way those kids were dressed. And it's a significant difference between the two.
Okay. And I would argue that the Disney shows and all that kind of stuff, like there were a hell of a lot of kids who dressed because they wanted to look like Edna Funicello or whatever the case may be, and that kind of stuff. I don't think this isn't a new phenomenon.
I don't think it's a new phenomenon, but what I do think is, it's funny. I was having this conversation with, and I got to throw this in, and then right after I throw it in, I got to move to the next topic. But I was having this conversation with my cousin, and we were talking about there's this sentiment in hip hop that like all the new hip hop is horrible, and the kind of the '90s era was the greatest, and so. Growing up listening to the '90s era stuff, of course I love the '90s era stuff, but I don't think I ever got stuck in the period.
Right.
But what I really realized was I don't know if people really believed that maybe that music was better, or in the '90s you could dress like your favorite rapper. You could go to the mall. A lot of times in a lot of these neighborhoods, there were little boutique stores that sold clothes for dirt that you can go and you can buy,
But you could go to merry-go-round and.
merry-go-round and a TiVo and all these other stores, and you could really, literally, you saw LL Cool J wearing it in the video. You can run to the mall and you can buy it. That's the big difference now is. Like a Jay-Z or Kanye West or any of these, the big rappers now,
can't do that.
you can't go to the regular mall because they're wearing, Balenciaga gym shoes versus, Nike high tops, which is, it's just, and which gets me back to why it feels different. Right. I don't think it is different. I think it feels different because what you're aspiring for is more expensive
So the bar
than.
has changed.
Well, the bar
Yeah.
as far as money, the feeling as far as what you're trying to accomplish is the same thing, but the bar to which to accomplish that has risen in the sense like what you're talking about is It used to be Adidas tennis shoes versus, like a pair of Gucci. It's a huge difference between going out and spending $50 versus going out and spending $500.
My track shoes were Adidas. I did have Adidas track shoes. I was a bad man.
Actually, the anonymous female found this next story. I thought this was really hilarious. You want to jump in with it?
Oh, so, I get several different news feeds, but Thursday on right before end of work, I got one come across that said the U.S. authorities arrested more than 40 alleged mafia members. Did you guys hear about that?
No,
You
no.
told me about it.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I didn't know about it till then.
Where at?
It was in New York,
Shocker.
Imagine that.
but it was across 5 states. And it was
New
for,
York, New Jersey,
I'm sure you guys are going to really be shocked at what they were arrested for.
money laundering,
Racketeering,
Oh, that's-
extortion, loan sharking, smuggling, arson, and gun trafficking.
It's a great trade.
Yeah.
It was now I'm probably going to butcher these names so somebody else can read them.
Yeah, the Genovese, Gambino, Lucchese, and the Banana families.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they
I
were
was
Italiano?
Well, the funny thing
The
is, I was
other
like,
accused mobsters were part of the main Philadelphia family.
The
So
Uzas.
it was the New York, the
Isn't it?
5 main major outfits, and then another one from Philadelphia.
Hey,
Yeah.
you gotta make money somehow,
But
right?
the states were New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Florida.
Yeah.
And the FBI did it.
I just thought it was interesting that
I think it's
that the
hilarious.
American mafia, as quiet, quote unquote, as it has been, is obviously still alive and
Oh,
kicking.
absolutely.
It's obviously still alive.
My wife has family members still in the business in Boston. I mean, geez.
Hey,
You know, it is what it
And
is.
extortion.
connected guy.
Did I
You're
say
the main
that?
guy.
Yeah, I said extortion.
I like to drink with them, but I
So
don't
have
do
you
much
heard
else.
of Rooster and Tony the Cripple and Mustache Pat?
The
just
nicknames
cracked-
are the best. They're better than rapper
Mustache
names.
Pat. That just cracks me up.
The names
What
are better
was
than
it?
rapper names.
Rooster, Tony the Cripple, and Mustache Pat.
I
It
worked
says
with a
they
guy
used-
named Rooster in the oil field. I wonder if it's the same guy. He was
They
Irish
u-
though.
They used violence, threats, and destruction of property to intimidate their neighborhood, according to authorities.
Imagine that.
Like, I never in a million years would believe that.
That is hilariously funny to me.
Gotta make a buck.
I think
Yeah.
it's funny we're sitting in this room. And we're
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say. Actually, I know. We're sitting.
That's technically Party Fouls, but I was so tickled by it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought it was kind of a funny.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
really? I mean, you don't hear about that stuff
Yeah.
really
Some
anymore.
things change, but some things
And
never
some
change.
things never change.
It always comes back around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I saw this story. It said it was 5 things we learned about the presidential campaign last week. So I want to run through them, and then we can kind of touch on them. It says Hillary and the Democrats kind of won the debate game.
The convention?
Basically because of the point bounce. After the Republican convention, Donna went up a solid 3 points, 3 to 4 points, but after her, she went up a solid 7 points. And then as the week kind of rose and he kind of kept putting his foot in his mouth, it went up to.
Imagine that.
This morning she was at 50% and he was at 42%.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. It says college-educated white voters are a big problem for Donald Trump.
hey, that's me.
Yeah, so I thought that was that was interesting. Also, showing kind of the voter spread by race, it was saying that he still has an edge on Hillary with white voters, 51 to 41. He's getting completely obliterated with the black vote, 86 to 8.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah, and we figured that
Well,
much.
and I even heard that it's as low as he's only getting like 3% of the
I'm
black
surprised.
Yeah, I was
It's-
going to say, I'm surprised
it's
he's getting
bad.
any, to tell you the truth, but Hispanic vote 68 to 24, which I'm
Really?
also surprised he's getting that many of it.
Huh.
Well,
And then other voters, she's up 52 to 34, and kind of just the other demographics.
What's other?
Well, other ethnicities. That was kind of what that what the breakdown was about.
I think the
Middle
Hispanics
Eastern,
the most
Asian.
interesting dynamic because they're still, I have 30% of my employees or 35% of my employees are Hispanic. And I really enjoy them. I call them my new Americans. Because some of them are working towards their citizenship, most of them just have resident cards, and they're here illegally or I'm going to be able to hire them. But they are really very conservative in a lot of ways. They are family oriented. They have children. They tend not to get divorced.
Well, I think that plays into their religion.
And it plays
I mean,
into
they're
Catholic.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
like,
Catholic.
Catholics
They're very
don't
Catholic.
really
They're
believe
very
in
involved
divorce.
with their churches and their communities
Yeah.
and who they are.
It's still correlated.
And it's really, they're really, more than anything, most of these guys are nice people. They're good people. And they come out and they work hard. They really take pleasure in what they have in America. And where a lot of us Americans that are too many generations down the road from our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents have kind of forgotten what that is. And what a really special privilege is that, our panel is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because we can discuss anything. We have become so comfortable over time with each other that we can have political discussions, we can have race discussions, we can have business discussions, life discussions, any type of discussion. And these people are what we should strive to be again. Where we start to get back to our basics of what it is to be an American. And American is this melting pot of beautiful people when we decide to be that way. When we don't decide to be that way, it's really ugly. But we forget who we are sometimes, and I think that's our biggest problem nowadays is we kind of forgot who we are. We've become so divided and polarized that we forgot who we are. We still live in a country where you can have your own opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, and it may not be the right way to say it, but I think Americans tend to feel like they're entitled. Like everything should just be given to them.
Well,
We were talking the other day about how people complain so much about jury duty.
Oh,
And, that is, you don't like it, but that's one of the
nobody
few,
likes it.
But that's
But
one of
never
the
have to do
few
it.
things as a citizen that is a duty for you to do.
Yeah, it's only, there's
And-
not that many, and you may have a better grasp on the list of them, 'cause you just kind of have historical knowledge, but there's only a few true duties of citizenship. One of which is you're going to have to serve jury duty at some point.
just because you go in and say, I want to kill, and hope you get off, that's not.
Well, like my
Cool,
mom
right.
just had jury duty last week, and she was talking about how, it was a attempted murder trial, and they had 68 people that they selected to pick for the jury, and she was talking about how this one guy was self-employed, and all he did was complain to the point where the judge had to tell him, if you don't sit down and shut up, you're going to be in contempt of court, and I'm going to arrest you, and that will be jail time. And he finally shut up. But it was just like, there's 67 other people here that probably feel the same way as you.
Right.
He was talking about how he was losing money. Well, nobody really gets paid their full day's pay for going to jury duty. But it was,
We have to pay.
A lot of companies, corporations will actually have to pay.
They've reduced it overtime.
Was it
Yeah.
$7 now?
Yeah.
it's, but not all of them
Something
have to
insane.
do
It's
that.
$6.
If you're
Some of them do.
salaried, it's you get
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah, and the thing is,
But-
for me, it's like I never get picked. So it's like I've had times where I've gone in, and at the same time, I'm one of those people where I'm just gonna be honest with you. So if you ask me a question, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm
So
saying-
like I've sat down and people were like, like I got picked for a federal grand jury, jury on 2 drug dealers, and the way the court was trying to phrase, or the defense was trying to phrase it, was that it was a racial fight between two guys, and they were both Colombian, and one was Colombian and part black, and the other one was full Colombian. They were both drug dealers. They shot each other, and one of them killed the other one. And I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is him being half black had to deal with them shooting each other, not the fact that it's a drug deal gone wrong. And then he was just like, well, I go, it's a drug deal gone wrong. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's not bullshit this.
Well, and there's so many other things you could
So
say
it's
and
just
do
like,
to
no.
not be picked for jury duty.
Well, there is, but
that you don't really have to spend an entire day, like,
Right.
literally bitching about the fact that you're
no,
there.
no.
Most of them last a day.
Yeah,
2
and
days.
a lot of times, I mean, I'm also the one guy that they don't really pick a lot of. Honestly, they like women. They love to pick, or the defense usually likes to pick women because they're a little bit more emotional and appeal to more to that.
It all depends on the trial,
They would
but
pick me then.
it very much depends on the trial. Coming from a family of lawyers, they go through massive strategy on how to pick
Right.
juries.
Oh, yeah.
It truly depends on the case.
But majority of the time, from what I've seen, is they usually tend to go towards that versus a young
Well,
white male.
if you're going for somebody that's like up for murder, then you tend to want.
It all comes down to numbers. This is all a
Yeah.
problem.
No, it really needs to.
Wait.
Well, it is.
Let's hear from the numbers guy.
You're right, it is numbers.
Let's hear from the numbers guy.
Yeah, just the professor that actually got me into the statistics was, I mean, he was a lawyer, and I mean, he had a whole side practice outside of being a professor at KU that was doing consulting on all the numbers on who you want to have as part of your jury and being whichever side you were on. And it was, I mean, he taught statistics. He was very heavy in that. Had a whole practice behind it. It was awesome to hear him talk. And it sounds like, Chris, you have some stuff behind it.
Prosecutors in particular want men on the jury. I mean, especially if you're in a criminal case, because it's a tough decision to make.
Yeah.
You know, and you get a certain number of vetoes and all that kind of stuff, so you end up with, generally speaking, a pretty fair jury. But I think the bigger problem is there are people who shouldn't do jury duty. Some of them aren't bright enough. Some of them don't follow anything about what's going on. Like, honestly, I think you should, being in the jury should be a job. You know, you should have professional jurors, you know, I would love that, who understand what the law is, who, can parse it reasonably and be fair and objective, and that would be an infinitely better system than just making it a constitutional duty. Like, by the time, I remember when they were talking about the snipers in D.C., and they're like, well, who hasn't heard about this case? You know, because you can disqualify yourself by knowing too much about it.
By knowing too much, right.
Right? No, those are the people I want. Those are the people that I want, because they're paying attention to what's going on.
they're paying
If you
attention.
haven't heard about this, you're a moron. Like, I don't want you anywhere near the jury.
That's really interesting, because otherwise, you're kind of rolling the die, right? I mean, every single time, depending on who's sitting there, your outcome could be completely different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's sort of terrifying. I mean, that's a flip of a coin.
I remember doing jury duty once, and it was a car thing, and this woman had been hit. She had gone to a doctor, and they agreed to pay the first medical bills. Well, 6 months goes by, and then she claims that she got hurt again, and it was still related to the initial car wreck. And I remember every one of them, with the exception of me and one other guy, was like, "Nah, let's vote to guilty just because there's an insurance company. Let's pay out. You know, it's not a big deal. Like, screw it. You know, like, absolutely not. You know, I mean, I made those people sit there all day until they were pissed, and one by one changed their mind. And then, I'm like, this is completely unfair. She already got paid out for the first 6 months. Good enough. I'm not going to have my insurance rates going up because a bunch of lazy-ass people don't want to do their job right. So I'd rather have people not do jury duty than do it in a shitty way, personally.
So what happens?
No better place to be on the jury than in Jackson County. And if you're a company that they just you have unlimited pockets, we'll side with whoever.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You
My
see-
wife was on one of those
Kansas
juries
is the
too.
exact opposite.
You see them give huge awards, and you go, really, it was worth that?
I also am a firm
But
believer in
isn't there a
reforming the
cap on-
system to make it so that punitive damages go into a state fund and do not go to the person who sued, and certainly do not go to the lawyers. Punitive damages are meant to curb the behavior of a company.
Yes.
Actual damages, I'm with you, give them to the party and the lawyers and that kind of stuff. Great. Punitive damages, they have nothing to do with that.
It's icing on the
It's
cake.
sending a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what they're meant to do.
And so that there's, just because you
But isn't
smoked
that-
your entire life and sued RJR Reynolds or whoever the tobacco place is,
Yeah.
that money shouldn't go to you. Shouldn't go
But
to the
there's a
state.
cap on that anyway, right? Even
Depends
if
on the
you.
state.
I thought most states had, isn't that TARP?
No, there are a lot of states that do not have caps on punitive damages at all. In fact, there's a lot of states that don't even have caps on actual damages. Like, state of Kansas will tell you exactly what your arm's worth.
Wow.
Missouri won't do that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good place to stop on that topic, which gets me to my last Party Five. I actually had a couple more things, but I think I want to skip around to the last thing I had on Party Files, which is slightly lighter, and that is what is the glory and shit show that is the Olympics. From everything that I've read and heard about, how the Olympic Committee, picks sites, to just all of the craziness that has gone on in Rio with, how they've displaced people and sent their economy into craziness to be able to host the games. The fact that the Olympic Village on the day that people were moving in, still had ceiling tiles falling out, and I just wanted to see what people thought before we even get to the actual games themselves. Just what people thought about the process and how it's very likely probably as corrupt as, I don't know, FIFA. to,
I'll say we've talked about that.
Yeah,
this is like a FIFA situation.
They had some lawsuits a couple years ago, and a couple guys got either they went to jail or they were kicked off the committee as far as what happened with the Olympics, because they were basically selling
their votes,
selling their votes to locations, and really, I mean, I would never want the Olympics to come to the United States because the cost. Every country in the last, I think it's been 20 years or so, every single time they put up one of these places, they lose more money than they actually gain into trying to start these things over. And in the last 10 years, I think it is, the thing with Rio, it's the same thing that happened in Sochi with the Russians, where the place was still being built because you're not giving them a long enough time to build all these miraculous places. So they start cutting corners, so you have problems. So all that kind of stuff. I was listening to one guy on, it was either Fox Business or CNBC, or Bloomberg. It was one of the financial guys, and he said the smartest thing they would do is have one place where you do the Summer Olympics and one place where you do the winter, and just leave it in those places. Go back to Greece, put it in Greece. If you want a place that needs the money, there it is right there. Just put it there. Always have the Summer Olympics there. And then if you want to do it in, well, the guys were like Salt Lake City, because they still have all this stuff set up for Salt Lake City.
Olympics.
Yeah. Or you can do it there, or go to the Alps. They were saying because you're there in Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
But they had all
Atlanta's
kinds of
still
issues.
digging out from when they did Summer Olympics.
Okay, so is it still every 4 years for the specific Olympics?
Yeah.
Every 4
summer
years,
is
yeah.
every 4.
But,
How
so
do
it's
you not have?
every two it splits out. So
Right,
you
but
have
they
to-
don't do them the same year anymore. So
But-
it's every
Right.
this and then
Every
2
2
years
years
it'll
there's
be
an
winter,
Olympics,
and then
but
yeah.
it's either summer
It's
or
every
winter.
other
That was all based on
summer
television broadcasting rights.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean,
It's all political, isn't it? Like political in air quotes, not like.
It's
Yeah.
certainly,
Our
certainly
politics,
driven by
huh?
the money.
Oh yeah.
Money.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's one of the most
It's
watched.
not a lot different than
But it just seems like,
Exactly.
and of course, I am by no means a builder of any kind. But you don't think you could do something like that in 4 years?
Well, permits, greasing the right palms. I mean, this guy can tell you
But
right
once
there.
you have it, it's like there shouldn't be any palms being greased.
Yeah,
it's
but-
like you have it, you need to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
what it takes?
politicians know you got billions of dollars coming into your city, and they're not going to put their hand out.
Once again,
Come on.
I
Come
am
on.
not a builder by any means. I just think it's ridiculous.
I want to
that-
live in your
not-
world.
I'll give you an example. Tomorrow I got a production meeting. I won't tell you where. It's the city of Leawood.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a public structure, and this has taken years. I've had 3 different times I've bid it through 3 different builders. Okay, so now it's coming to fruition, and neither one of the 2 builders I bid it before ended up getting a 3rd builder did. So when you're dealing with the government,
But I'm
and
thinking
their
you're at
budgets
city
and their-
level.
this
This
is-
is
'cause the Olympics is a
country
government.
level.
You're still dealing with city governments when you put it into the city.
and it just takes forever for them.
Yeah.
And I'm on a political appointment with Johnson County Contractor Licensing. And the biggest education for me as I got into the education committee and then got on the review board was understanding how the political end of it works and how the county in this particular instance works and their analytical things that they do in order to come to a conclusion on something. They look at all angles. It takes a long time for them to really say, okay, we're going forward with this, because they spend a lot of time hashing things out. And it does take a long time to make these things go into policy.
And this would be why Mario says, this is one of the reasons I like you, because you really are optimistic about everything.
And you are, and you're well loved because of it, but it's, at times it's not total reality.
Oh, I'm sure it's not, but
And then I think I told you the story about what happened to us in Chicago over the winter. Where they,
yes.
all of a sudden one day
Stupid address.
Yeah, they turned our electricity off at our building. We're above Graham Elliott Bistro, so we're on the 2nd floor of a 2-story building, and there were 2 meters, and one of them was 841 first floor and 841 second floor. Well, our address is technically 843 West Randolph, but the gas company decided we didn't exist, so they just shut off 841 second floor. I'm like, actually 843 does exist. It's a legal address. I have a lease that'll say that. Plus, I've had electricity here for 5 years. Like, don't know what to tell you. Can't help you out.
Was it
I'm like,
winter?
So it was People's Gas.
It was winter.
Oh yeah, it was winter. Yeah, so People's Gas shut us off. So I had to fly up there. I'm like, why don't you have a guy come out and meet me, and we can try to get this resolved. So he looks at it. He's like, can't help you. Might put $1,000 make any difference? He goes, I don't know. I may make a phone call. I had lights and electricity on within 15 minutes.
Well, see, in the
And
state
I just think that's so
Literally,
sad.
he took a marker and crossed out 2nd floor and wrote 843.
Well, and the funny thing is, in Missouri, like Missouri Gas Energy, during the wintertime, they're legally not allowed to shut off your gas.
Right.
Anymore. Yeah.
Anymore. But I got a buddy. So one of the guys who used to manage this restaurant, and then also one of the guys who used to work as a waiter, they decided to open up a bar. You guys ever heard of Coda down the street on Broadway?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they were sitting there working that, putting that together, getting it all done. Well, they had a door that opened up to the street. So the city comes in, they're going through and they're doing their little deal with the, get the inspection. So the city said that door can't open to the street. They're like, why? He goes, well, it blocks the sidewalk. So they rehung the door, so they swung inside. So they went back and they did it. The city passed them on it. Then they went to the fire department. Fire department said, you can't have that door open up on the inside. That's a fire hazard. People try to push to get out the door. The door has to open up to the street.
Yeah.
So they're like, you got to be kidding. So they went round and 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 round. Until somebody sat down and said, well, how do we solve this? And they go, well, we got an idea how you can solve that. And then it was you just put money in somebody's hand.
Show me the money.
Exactly, and it solved the problem. The
That's
door
a bunch of
swung out to the
bullshit.
street.
It should be, see, and to me, that should be fire code wins.
Well, absolutely. Well, and the ridiculous part is you've seen how big the sidewalk is on Broadway in that
Yes.
area. So when you have a 2.5-foot door swing out onto a 6-foot sidewalk,
Right.
I mean, come on.
That would be an ADA function.
If you get hit with the door, you're some kind of
At
stupid.
that point.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me.
I
Just
thought you
But
were going to
that's-
say something like, put in a swinging door.
Yeah, I was thinking of revolving.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like a door like that. It's not
Yeah.
like a big entrance.
Yeah, but like you say,
Yeah.
my sensible human says fire code wins.
Absolutely.
Growing up in Chicago, I know $1,000 wins.
Absolutely.
You definitely enjoyed
And
that
this
very
is
much.
why
I
nothing
noticed
gets
that.
done.
Absolutely.
That resoluted with you.
But that's why it
absolutely.
takes so long to put up in a little big
Absolutely.
village.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah.
But imagine also doing it in a country that's corrupt. It's even worse.
Yeah,
I mean,
Which
like
would be
Russia,
any country
like, yeah,
ever.
Like Russia, like Korea. I mean, like
Yeah.
you know,
Wait,
Brazil.
wait,
I mean,
most any country.
well, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Any
You go
country
you go
ever.
overseas and you get enlightened very quickly.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can promise you that.
Yeah.
As a man who spent a lot of time
This
overseas.
country's
I just
equally
want to
as
go
bad.
somewhere and have a drink and sit on a beach. I mean, I don't want to deal with.
I'm doing that this weekend, you know. That's exactly where I'm going.
I hear you.
It can thunderstorm all at once. I got a roof over the pavilion. I'll sit there and drink and watch it thunder and lightning over the ocean.
I really don't even
Everything's
care if
good.
it's a beach. I just want to go somewhere where this kind of stuff doesn't matter.
With my girl of 34 years.
There you go. I think that sounds like a good place to end this week's Party Fouls and get into a few of this week's Party Favors. So we were talking about the Olympics, and so I was talking with somebody earlier today, and it was kind of amazing to me, and maybe somebody here remembers exactly, but hasn't Phelps been in 4 Olympics now? Mm-hmm. And so because that's a long Olympic career, and he's still winning gold.
I think he missed the last Olympics, though. I think he didn't go to that one.
No,
he was there.
He was there. He was there.
Yeah.
And won and medaled.
Yeah.
But in this Olympics, he actually just took home his 19th gold medal, and this Olympics is just getting started.
And he's got 23 regular, or just his total
medals
yeah.
is 23. Yeah. So I just thought that that's for a 16-year Olympic career. You know, having first of all, he definitely already has more medals than anybody. But 19 gold is pretty amazing, and I thought, you know,
He's the winningest
Yeah.
Olympic.
Let me add in on this, being a swimmer.
being a swimmer,
all right.
we have seen
Who
Big
has,
Dave's.
who has vices and still swims.
I've seen Big Dave's skull trunks, by the way.
Yeah.
We won't
Not
get
trunks, Speedo.
and we won't get into
Well,
that.
let's tell the quick story on that one.
No, let's not tell the story. Not tell the story.
Jackie was definitely freaking out.
No, I was like, okay, this is gonna happen.
Hey, I had my skull Speedo on, so you know it was sexy. But anyway, to watch him swim in that 400-meter relay, freestyle, and see him take that lead is incredible. And I'm not a bad swimmer for an old guy, but he would basically swim at 200 and hit the wall before I could hit a 100.
He's a physical phenom.
He would catch me at the wall.
I remember the Olympics
That's
where he
phenomenal.
won the, 7 or 8 medals that he won.
Yeah.
When they were talking about, you know, the wingspan and, you know, just, it's kind of like when you think of the anatomy of a linebacker or, you know, whatever, what makes a really good physique for the sport you're in.
Yeah, like
And he's like
For
almost
them,
perfect.
it's not only strength though. Swimming is about technique.
Yeah.
It really is. It's about technique.
Well, and he's
these-
double jointed, so like,
Well, the way
yeah.
they dolphin out of their turns is they generate so much speed and they stay underwater for so long doing this that that's almost where the races run somewhat, is how they can dolphin out of it. 'Cause they undulate the whole body as they go it, and then you see their strokes. It was really cool last night, or the other night when I was watching. I wasn't watching last night. When they got the camera coming in front of Katie Ledecky,
Oh yeah.
and you can literally see her strokes and how she's coming in and how she's grabbing the water and pulling it and that coming all the way down.
Right.
That technique, if you understand it, is what's made me good. Is I've learned that technique.
Well, and
But I'm
she's
older than
amazing
240
too.
pounds. They aren't anywhere near 240 pounds. They're not old. But it's amazing. It's really a cool camera angle to see them and then to see them underwater and watch their strokes. Because they generate so much power doing that. It's just incredible. It's an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and Katie, I don't remember what race it was, but she beat the world record by 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, she was way ahead of it.
And I mean, it's, you know,
It's really cool.
It's amazing.
Was it her own world record too that she beat too?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
somebody else held it.
Okay, I thought somebody
But I
said that was
don't,
hers.
it was, I was in the other room when the news was on this morning when they were talking about it. And this is her second, they're saying, which kind of annoyed me a little bit, but they were saying that she's the female Michael Phelps.
Ah,
I think she's the female Katie Ledecky.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm like,
I agree
why
with
does she
that.
have to be compared to a guy?
You
But
don't have to
whatever.
be compared to a guy. They say she swims like a guy. And that's one of the comparisons they make. The females swim a little bit differently.
She threw a little bit of attitude and at the
They
Russian.
the
swimmer
females
that-
actually have a different body composition than the males. The females in our pool can kick better because their body fat and the little they have in those things is distributed differently than males. The males sink on the ass end. The females plane out better.
Well, and
It's
I
just-
hate to
it's just
say
a-
it, but
it's just a
women are
fact
just a
of it.
little bit more graceful than men are anyway. I mean, it just, you know.
I would hope so.
It is.
It tends to make us more attracted to you because of that, you know?
Yes, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying that, you know, they're
You know,
a little bit.
that's one of the male-female things that the phenome's working and saying, yeah, I want some of that.
you swim, Chris? I'm about to say, I know you go to. I know you go.
Not at all.
I know you go to the gym a lot, but I didn't know if you swam.
No.
You
Like
didn't know.
As you get older, I suggest people that can swim as you get older, it doesn't hurt your joints.
I love to
Doesn't hurt
swim.
your body, and you can get in and
I'm
really
not
work
winning any
it. It's a
competitions.
total workout. It's a total workout. Even in my school speedo.
Yeah.
I found a couple other stories that were just a little more, just kind of heartwarming party favors. So there was a 16-year-old Compton kid who's he is the youngest black pilot to fly around the U.S. So he's
And he grew up in Compton.
yeah, 16-year-old. His name's Isaiah Cooper.
How do you get to fly?
I didn't see all of that in the story. It actually happened in July, but he did an 8,000-mile flight around the U.S. Actually, his plane broke down, and he had to get another aircraft in I think it was Wyoming, and then but it was crazy because he wanted to do it, and they put up a GoFundMe page,
Cool.
and so he was able to do that, and then now there's a GoFundMe page because he wants to try to be one of the youngest to fly around the world, and his GoFundMe has already raised $45,000.
Now-
That was pretty cool.
Did they say what type of plane he was? Was he flying a small engine plane?
Yeah, a small engine plane. I didn't get the exact make of the plane, but I do know it was a small engine.
My father flew small engine planes
Oh, okay.
for many years. And he actually taught my sister and I to do touch and goes.
Oh, nice.
So if something happened to him while we were flying, we could do it. I couldn't get a license because I was a blind guy. I could have passed physical, or I would have flown too. I found it fascinating. But there's something about being up in a small plane.
That scares the shit out of you.
Well, yeah, I won't say there's not a fear factor in it, but there's also a freedom factor in it. But there's also very much which my father would really enjoyed, the technological thing of it. You're flying from the flight vectors, so you're on the flight highways, and you fly this VOR, and then you change your direction, you fly to that VOR, and then you fly to that VOR, and you fly at a certain altitude so everybody can keep track of where you are. And if something's flying towards you and at a similar altitude, you're alerted by the flight, people that something's coming at you. It's really a very liberating thing to be up in a plane and be able to fly above the earth and not be above 10,000 feet. If you're flying a small feet, you're not a pressurized cabin.
Right.
And so you're kind of flying the pea patch, as we used to say.
That's cool.
And it's a very cool thing, and I admire that young man very much for what he did.
Yeah, I haven't done the small plane thing yet, so one.
It's a different experience, if, you know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Very
it's-
different experience.
So what were you looking at?
It says he enrolled in an aviation youth program at tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum, an organization that gives at-risk youth the opportunity to become pilots when he was 5. And then he dropped out and fell into some other stuff and came back from his mentor. But it says that he wrote that his goal is to become a productive young man with a future in aviation and not a statistic.
Which I think kind of goes back to what we were saying before about, I don't know if it's a generational thing. I think it's just a personal motivation thing. It's like you gotta want to strive for something bigger and better,
gotta want
or
something.
you don't.
You gotta want something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And I predict he'll be successful in life.
Oh,
Because he's
Oh,
learned,
absolutely.
he's learned to conquer something, and conquer himself.
Well, and he said, Cooper offered some motivational words. There's a higher power that's always there, trying to have you focused. So whatever you want to do, you can do it.
there you go.
Absolutely. And I believe in that very, very, very strong.
All right, and so I love that story. I just thought that was really cool. And for
What's your
today's,
higher power?
all right. So for today's last party favor, I thought this was also cool. Just kind of the redeeming quality of humans and Americans in particular. But so that this kid, who was learning disabled, and he's playing. He's got autism. And he's playing Pokemon Go, and so his mom has him out there, and these 2 men, kind of trapped him out in the field, and there was this bottle of barbecue sauce, and they stomped on the ground, and it squirted all over him and his mom, and basically they were like, oh, look what we did. We got the retard, and it was, kind of a pretty horrible situation, and humiliating for him and his mom. And then his sister, found out about that experience, and she did a Facebook page. It's the Arizona Pokemon Go community Facebook page, and basically told that story. And so basically all these students from ASU came out and to play Pokemon Go with this. His name is Ty Swartit. I hate to mispronounce his name. Ty Swartit, and so they basically all came out to play with him, and it says that post got such an outpouring of sympathy that members decided to take it further and invite Ty and his mother to Tempe Beach Park to play as a group. And so not only did dozens of people show up to play in this group with them, but they brought them gifts and
People aren't all bad.
things of support. And I just thought that was one of those kind of redeeming of the human spirit type stories.
Most of us are good people.
I think so.
There's always the bad apple out there. You just gotta learn to conquer over the bad apples.
Yeah, I think
And
I
rise
definitely
up
so.
above them, because they have nothing going for them. If that's what they want to do is go out and punk people,
Yeah.
really, that's your life?
Some people get a kick out of being assholes.
And there's no kick in it, really. They're just assholes.
Yeah.
And this is what you are, and people are going to think you're an all right person for doing that. Only a few. By and large, we're good people, and we always want to see good things happen to people. And the beautiful thing about who we are. I run into them every day, and they always amaze me about who they are and how they do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking about some of the earlier stuff with the Party Fouls, and we were kind of talking about how we want to, as an American public, maybe we aren't necessarily shrinking, but it feels like we're shrinking, and maybe some of that is keeping up with the Joneses, and it got me to thinking, which brings me to kind of the poignant words to kind of close things. But it got me to thinking about this commercial that I saw years ago. So, obviously middle class white guy, and his, and his family, and they're, having a barbecue, and I remember, he was in the backyard, all his friends were there, and the entire commercial he has the biggest smile, like just sounded this plastered, like fake smile, but it's just plastered on his face. I remember him saying, I've got a fabulous house, and I've got a beautiful wife and lovely children, and I've got a brand new car, and I've got this, and I've got that. And you want to know how I do it? I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. It is really, and that commercial has stuck with me for years. I can't remember what the commercial was for, but it definitely makes me think about the America that we're living in today. It's, yes, we've got every single gaming system, and we've got our iPhones. Like I got one, Chris has got one. It's
I do not have an iPhone.
And, we've got we've got our laptops, and our 8-year-old children have cell phones and
Or boom boxes.
Yeah,
a little funky boom box that we can go, cordless with.
Exactly.
And sync into our boom box.
Yeah, but can we, to I guess Sean's earlier point, can we actually afford it? Or are we in debt up to our eyeballs? So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody out there in podcast land for listening to Loft Party Podcast, and I'm going to end this podcast in the same way I end all podcasts, and that is with the quote that started it all for me, and that is, to good times with good people.